Hello there you guys, welcome to one of my videos. Going to be giving you my starting 11 prediction for our game against Manchester City. In goal, I'm going to go with Dean Henderson. Dean Henderson is set for a run of games, because recent reports said David De Gea could be out for a month due to personal reasons. I think Dean Henderson should be our number one goalkeeper because I think he's reliable enough now to become our number one. He's got that experience behind him. He endured 2 successful loans with Sheffield United, and he's done well in the games he's played in this season. Before the start of this season, Dean Henderson signed a 6-year contract with the club. Dean Henderson started in goal against Crystal Palace. Like I mentioned, he made some good aerial claims, and he made a fantastic save at the end to deny Patrick Van Aanholt. Solskjaer admitted earlier on this season that it's becoming more and more difficult to leave Dean Henderson out of the side. A few weeks ago, Dean Henderson threatened to quit the club if he's not assured the number one role. We revealed our asking price. He said it was £40 million. At right back, I'm going to go with Wan-Bissaka. Wan-Bissaka has done well in some games this season, where he's actually got forward well. His crossing's been quite good. Defensively, he's been superb. But he's been poor in some games where he has lacked attacking intent. He's been caught out a few times. Weren't so good against Crystal Palace recently. Got caught out a few times. But I still think he's a very, very good right back. This is Wan-Bissaka's second full season at Manchester United. We got him in a deal worth £50 million from Crystal Palace in the summer of 2019. The 2 centre-halves, I'm going to go with Eric Bailly and Harry Maguire. I think Eric Bailly and Harry Maguire complement each other in our backline really, really well. Lindelof could be involved in this one, but I don't want Lindelof to start because Lindelof is too much of a liability. Bailly's much better than him. Bailly can intercept the ball well. He can show the ability to play out from the back. He can be effective in the air. Bailly's done well in the games he's played in this season. My only element of concern about Bailly is too injury prone, so in that aspect he is a liability. There's recent narratives that have been saying we've been in talks over getting Eric Bailly a new deal. And Bailly played very, very well against Crystal Palace. Made some good interceptions. Harry Maguire, I've got my reservations about him. Maguire has had some good games this season. He's also had some bad games. When Maguire plays well though, he gets forward well. He can win some good headers and defensively he can be good. But when he's poor, he has a lot of shaky moments. His passing's wayward. Harry Maguire certainly wasn't worth the £80 million that we got him for. He's the most expensive centre-half in the world at the moment and is the second most expensive signing at the club, just behind Paul Pogba. At left back, I'm going to go with Luke Shaw. Luke Shaw's been the player of the season for us. He's really, really improving. Luke Shaw's getting forward well. He's getting into good positions. He's creating chances for his teammates. His crossing's getting better. And defensively he's been good. And Luke Shaw still remains our first choice left back despite the arrival of Alex Telles last summer. When we got Telles last summer, I thought Telles would have been our first choice left back, but Telles has played nowhere near as much as I expected. He's done well in some of the games he's played in. I prefer Luke Shaw though because Luke Shaw gets forward better than Telles. Shaw's had a good career at Man United apart from his injuries. He's been at the club now over 6 years. In the midfield, I'm going to go with Fred and Scott McTominay. Fred has had some good games this season. I think he's improved, but he's also had some poor games as well. He was poor against Crystal Palace recently. Fred's been at the club a few years. We got Fred in a deal worth £52 million from Shakhtar Donetsk. Fred is not a world-class player, but I thought during his time in Ukraine, he was a world-class player. And Scott McTominay, he didn't start against Crystal Palace, but he did come on. I think Scott McTominay is a decent player. He's enjoyed some good games this season. I think his best game this season by far was the 6-2 win against Leeds, because he scored twice in that game and he also got an assist. Was it just after the first lockdown last year? McTominay signed a 5-year contract with Manchester United, so he committed his future with the club. McTominay is not on the level as we want him to be at as yet, but he can emulate to that level because he's got a lot of development in him. Ahead of them two, I'm going to go with Bruno Fernandez. Bruno Fernandez needs a rest at some point because he's played a hell of a lot of games. Bruno Fernandez has been out of form recently. Got to say, he was poor against Crystal Palace. He was poor against Chelsea. His final ball's been very poor recently and he's been dispossessed a few times. By the way, Solskjaer's ready to ban Bruno Fernandez from international duty. But in most of Bruno Fernandez's games, he's been very, very consistent. You know, when he plays well, he creates chances, he makes good runs, he scores goals. Fernandez did say on his 12-month anniversary that he's planning on spending many years at Manchester United. He's won Player of the Month now quite a few times, reflecting on his good performances. I think we are willing to double his wages, by the way, to £200,000 a week. But yeah, Fernandez has made a difference in the team. You know, despite him being out of form recently, he's still our best player and is the best signing we have made since the Sir Alex Ferguson era. So yeah, him in the number 10. On the left-hand side, I'm going to go with Marcus Rashford. I've got to say, Marcus Rashford was very, very poor against Crystal Palace. He actually had a chance in the game that just went wide. You know, when Rashford's poor, he seems to get in front of goal, then his decision-making's poor, his finishing's poor, and his passing is poor. But when Rashford's playing well, he can get very good runs in behind, he can cause problems for the opposition defence. You know, he can create chances and he can score very, very good goals. We'll just need to keep Marcus Rashford out wide on the left because that's where he's more effective. He's much better out wide than he is central. We have played Rashford centrally a few times. A few times as well we've played him out on the right hand side. Rashford has been part of the club for several years. He's been a United player since the age of 7 and he's been in our senior squad since 2016. Don't forget, by the way, Marcus Rashford scored in his first Manchester derby quite a few years ago now. On the right hand side, I'm going to go with Mason Greenwood. It could be Daniel James, but I'm going to go with Greenwood. Greenwood has been a revelation since he broke into our first team squad. He made his debut back in 2019. Greenwood has been a United player since the age of 7 and he's made 80 odd first team appearances. Earlier on this season, he signed a new 4-year contract with Man United. Greenwood's done well recently, despite scoring. I think he's got a long-term future at Man United. Solskjaer's been defending Mason Greenwood a lot this season. Didn't really have much of a perception on him earlier on this season, Greenwood, because he was out of injury at one point. At one point he had illness, and at one point he had personal issues. The start of this season we're giving that number 11 shirt. And up top, I'm going to go with Edinson Cavani. Edinson Cavani has just come back from injury not so long ago. He did play in the game against Crystal Palace. He was very, very quiet in the game against Palace. You know, Cavani didn't really get enough service. I think he had a good chance or two in the game against Crystal Palace though. He'd missed our last 4 games prior to the game against Crystal Palace. He had been out with a muscle injury. But, you know, Cavani's hold-up play is very, very good. He can create chances. And he can also score very good goals. And his movement in and out of the box is good. Cavani's already said that he wants to stay at Man United for next season. Solskjaer said earlier on this season that Cavani is set for contract extension talks. We got him on a free transfer last summer. He signed a 1-year contract with Man United with an option of a 2nd year. So that's how I think we could line up against Manchester City on Sunday. It's the 185th Manchester derby. This is going to be the 3rd time we'll be playing Man City this season, because we've already played them twice this season. Obviously drew 0-0 with them at Old Trafford in the league earlier on this season. And we lost to them 2-0 in the EFL Cup semi-final. Last season, we beat City 3 times out of the 4 times we played them. We're beating them 2-1 at the Etihad. We're beating them 2-0 at Old Trafford in the league. That's the last time we had fans at Old Trafford. And we're beating them in the EFL Cup 2nd leg last season. But obviously it wasn't enough because we'd lost the first leg 3-1. So yeah, it is first against second. Manchester City are 14 points in front of us. There's a lot of Man United fans, including me, that don't expect us to get anything from this game. Even if it was to win, we know obviously the title's over anyway, but obviously we want to finish in the top 4. Top 4 is our aim now. And top 4 is not guaranteed. You know, we could easily drop out. Manchester City have won 21 straight games in all competitions. They are the champions elect. When City win the Premier League this season, that will be their 5th Premier League title. They've won 4 at the moment. 2 have come under Pep Guardiola. Obviously, they won 1 under Manuel Pellegrini and they won 1 under Roberto Mancini. When they won it under Roberto Mancini, that was their first title in 44 years. Pep Guardiola is regarded as one of the best managers in the world. he's won a few trophies at City. Not only 2 Premier Leagues. City have won the EFL Cup for the last 3 seasons. They're into this season's EFL Cup final. They do play Tottenham. I'm expecting Man City to win that. They've also won the FA Cup. I think City are in the Champions League quarterfinals as well. The Champions League is Manchester City's priority because Manchester City have actually never won the Champions League. Pep Guardiola's won the Champions League. He won it during his time at Barcelona. He nearly won it at Bayern Munich, but he didn't. City won the domestic treble a few years ago, so they replicated what we did back in 1999. I think that was a season when Manchester City finished on 100 points. Guardiola's been City manager now for quite a few years. City appointed him in 2016. Earlier on this season, he signed a new 2-year contract with Man City. But I think Solskjaer in total has beaten Pep Guardiola 4 times as Man United manager. He's beat a few big managers. Guardiola beaten Thomas Tuchel twice when he was PSG manager. Solskjaer's beaten Jose Mourinho. Beaten Julian Nagelsmann. So, yeah. Man City have got a very, very good team. They really have. They've got obviously Gabriel Jesus. He's a very, very good player. He could cause us all sorts of problems on Sunday. They've got Sergio Aguero. He's very, very good. I think Aguero was out of injury earlier on this season. They've got Raheem Sterling, who's very, very good. They got him from Liverpool a few years ago. They've got Riyad Mahrez, that's good. They've got Ferran Torres. They brought Ferran Torres in last year. They've got Phil Foden. He's come up Manchester City's ranks very, very well. He's been a revelation. They've also got Kevin De Bruyne, who's regarded as one of the best midfielders in the Premier League. They've got Bernardo Silva as well. They've got Ilkay Gundogan. He's been in fantastic form this season. They've got that Garcia. They've got Rodri. To be honest with you, I don't really rate Rodri. They've got some very good centre-halves as well of City. Obviously, they've got John Stones. He's done very, very well this season. He's looked very, very good alongside Diaz. They do complement each other very, very well in City's back line. Before, though, I didn't really rate John Stones. I think Man City got him from Everton. They've also got like Laporte, who's a good centre-half. I think he sustained a few injuries at Man City. They've got Nathan Ake. Nathan Ake is out injured at the moment. They got him last year. Ruben Diaz, they also got him last year. They've got Zinchenko. They've got Cancelo. They've got Benjamin Mendy. Benjamin Mendy's actually injury prone. They've got Kyle Walker, who's a very, very good right back. They got him from Tottenham a few years ago. And Edison is a very, very good goalkeeper. Don't forget last year, Manchester City lost David Silva. He went to Real Sociedad. They lost Otamendi. A few years ago, Vincent Kompany left them. He went to become player manager at Anderlecht. And they did also lose Leroy Sané. He went to Bayern Munich. But anyway, we're coming into this game on the back of a 0-0 draw with Crystal Palace. That was a very, very bad result, and it was a very, very poor performance. We had one shot on target the whole game, and that came from Nemanja Matic. Crystal Palace had the best chance of the game right at the end. And Solskjaer came out and said that we do need to find a spark Gary Neville had a few things to say. He says Man United are sleepwalking in the battle for Champions League qualification. He also came out and said that we need to make a decision on Dean Henderson's long-term future. We still haven't lost away from home in the Premier League for over a year. So we've actually got a very, very good away record. So you can say that gives us some kind of advantage going into this game against Man City. We've really, really struggled against the top 6 sides in the Premier League this season. In the vast majority of the games against the top sides, we've failed to score. And people say you've got to beat the top 6 sides, or at least some of them, if you are to be genuine title contenders. I've told you I've got a couple of big concerns about Ole. One of my big concerns about him is his decision making. He's tactically naive, especially in the big games. Okay, there has been some games where he has showed tactical flexibility, but he's got to show tactical flexibility persistently. And the other one is that he hasn't got a proven pedigree as a manager. Yeah, he's gained some managerial experience, reflecting how long he's been at Man United, and he's learnt quite a bit on the job. Before Solskjaer was with us, he was at Molde. He won a few Norwegian titles at Molde, but they're not a big club. And before he was at Molde, he was at Cardiff, and he enjoyed a very, very short tenure at Cardiff. After Manchester City, it's AC Milan in the last 16 of the Europa League. That's going to be a tough game. Then it's West Ham. Then it's Leicester in the Cup. And then I think it's the international break. Performances have got to start improving. We've got to start scoring goals as well. Because in our last 3, we have drawn 0-0. That is not good enough to our standards. We know that Paul Pogba is not going to be involved in this game against Man City. Solskjaer recently set a new Paul Pogba return date. Solskjaer said he's hopeful that Paul Pogba will return before the March international break. Paul Pogba has got a thigh injury. The last game he did play was the 3-3 draw with Everton. And yeah, you can definitely say that Paul Pogba is a big miss, because we do lack quality in that midfield without him. There's no creativeness without Paul Pogba there. We are far too defensive when Paul Pogba's not there. Earlier on this season, Pogba had an ankle injury. He was out for the vast majority of last season with an ankle injury. But in recent months, we'd been getting the best out of him before he got this injury. He'd been enjoying the best period in his Man United career since he rejoined. Now, Paul Pogba is open to staying at Manchester United after making a transfer U-turn, and he's willing to discuss a new contract. Earlier on this season, Solskjaer suggested Paul Pogba could sign a new contract. And Solskjaer said that Paul Pogba is happy at the club. There was reports coming out back in January saying that Pogba was considering making a U-turn at the club, and he contradicted his agent Mino Raiola for the second time. Mino Raiola, earlier on this season, says he's got no intentions of destabilising his client's season at Man United. He also said he was working quietly on Paul Pogba's transfer to avoid offence. Mini Oriola made an announcement back in December regarding Paul Pogba, and Solskjaer was furious with Mini Oriola's announcement. But Mini Oriola doesn't have a good relationship with Man United, and he's been criticised quite a few times. But Paul Pogba has had a long-running transfer saga. He's been linked with a move to Real Madrid. PSG have been in for him, and there's been a lot of narratives of him possibly going back to Juventus. Pogba did enjoy 4 good years with Juventus before he rejoined us. Said the other week we revealed our asking price for Pogba, and it was £100 million. But yeah, Pogba's our most expensive signing at the moment because we paid £89 million for him. Martial, yeah, he could be involved in this game, but I don't want to see Martial in the team because he has been out of form for the vast majority of this season. He's had chances, but he just hasn't converted them. Solskjaer recently said that he's been impressed with Anthony Martial's work rate, and he's backed him to rediscover his form. Martial has recently been out with an injury. Martial was good last season, and he was good in his debut season under Louis van Gaal. Martial has been at the club now over 5 years. Donnie Van Der Beek, he's recently been out with injury. Donnie Van Der Beek, I don't think he'll be involved anyway. Donnie Van Der Beek has played nowhere near as much as I expected. Most of Donnie Van Der Beek's appearances have come from the bench. He's only started 2 games in the league this season. But we need to play him more because he is a good player. Solskjaer made an admission earlier on this season saying that Van Der Beek is unhappy at the club because of his lack of game time, but Solskjaer promised him more game time at Man United. We got Van Der Beek in a deal worth 40 million, and he can play in 3 different roles. Juan Mata, Solskjaer did say, didn't he? He's out for a couple of weeks, but Juan Mata doesn't get in the team anyway. Phil Jones, he's obviously still out. He doesn't get in the team either. So yeah, it will be interesting to see how Solskjaer approaches this game against Man City. Like I've said before, in regards to Solskjaer, he's not the long-term manager for Manchester United. I think Solskjaer's got to win a trophy at Man United to avoid the sack. Because he hasn't won a trophy yet, and he's been Man United manager over 2 years. And we haven't won a trophy since 2017. The FA Cup is a chance of a trophy, and the Europa League is a chance of a trophy. I think a new Ole Gunnar Solskjaer contract is incoming. The last time I read up about it, it said that Solskjaer's future was in doubt because he admitted that nobody spoke to him over a new contract. He said we'll wait until the end of the season to begin contract talks with Ole, and it said we could offer him a new 2-year deal on one condition, that's if we qualify for the Champions League. Ole is into the final 18 months of his current contract. There's a lot of United fans that are now Ole Gunnar Solskjaer out. I think Solskjaer does deserve at least until May and maybe some part of next season. But the question is, if we do sack Solskjaer, who's going to come in to replace him? Because there is no one available at the moment. Mauricio Pochettino was the favourite to take over at one point when he was managerless. Pochettino was the favourite to take over after Jose Mourinho got sacked. But Pochettino's out of the equation because he's at PSG. You saw my video I did yesterday. I said Solskjaer is the new Van Gaal and Mourinho. The reason is because the football is boring, and it was so boring under Van Gaal and Jose Mourinho. Solskjaer's been criticised a hell of a lot as Man United manager. You know, we've had his really bad periods under Ollie when he's been close to being sacked. But we've also enjoyed good periods under Ollie where we've seen consistency. You know, some games he's got the best out of the team. You know, he's improved certain players. And we've got to credit Ole Gunnar Solskjaer in some aspects. You know, he's got us to the FA Cup quarter-final. Yeah, it will be a tough game against Leicester. He's got us to the Europa League last 16. You know, he got us to the EFL Cup semi-final this season, lost 2-0 to Man City. He did well last season in his first full season. Guided us to 3 semi-finals, got us qualification for the Champions League and got us third. He's made good signings since he became Man United manager. You know, he spent over £200 million and he's enjoyed 4 transfer windows as permanent Man United manager. Yeah, he hasn't got all the players that he wanted to recommend in as yet, and in that aspect the blame stems from the board, but hopefully in this year's summer transfer window Solskjaer will get the players he wants to get in, and Ollie's also got rid of a lot of the deadwood since he got recommended in, and we are second in the Premier League. No one expected us to be there with how poor we was at the first part of this season. So there you go. I think Ollie's done his press conference, by the way, for this game against City. So I'll be doing my reaction to that later on. But there'll be another video coming up before that. So anyway, guys, that's everything to update today. Drop your comments, likes below on the channel. If you do, consider subscribe as always. And take care. God bless. See you all again very, very soon.